we can't control everything. And when they get to school, they're exposed to a lot more than we even have an inkling of an idea about. He's been telling me stuff. And he says, well, how do you think I'm supposed to help these kids?
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
I love his heart.
And I'm like, wow, that's pretty good from a 13-year-old.
Yeah. Yes.
And but that has just started more so because of the fact of open discussions. I'm learning more being around Joann and Brian. I'm learning more. I'm even reading more about that. So I'm prepared more for conversations here. And it just, you start to see a difference in your children as you communicate. Our parents, when we were coming up, it was sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
So it'll go away.
We don't want anybody to know.
We don't want nobody to know, And so this is very good. I mean, I get so encouraged. I told you in the email, I was excited about today.
Yeah. I was too. It was funny how you said you couldn't control everything. It made me think when we first had Clayton and he was a toddler and then, we got a little bit older. There used to be the Blockbuster video stores, and he was only allowed in the children's section. And so what Brian would go around and he'd flip all the ones that were at eye level for Clayton. If they'd have, a bikini or something, he'd flip all of them on the row if Clayton had to walk from the kids area to the counter. And we'd spend so much time flipping. And I used to think to myself, it was a miracle that a store manager never came over to us because we did that hundreds of times. And then at the grocery store, when I was putting the groceries on the conveyor belt, I would quickly turn the Cosmopolitan magazines and Enquires, and I spent a lot of time and energy trying to control.
You probably got carpal tunnel.
Yeah. Newspapers, like I'd pick up a newspaper and I'd always look at the back first because that was what he was going to see if I was holding it up. And then he'd go in the post office to drop off a letter, and they used to have this magazine rack, and I'd always point, Clayton, look over there, look at that. So he wouldn't look at the magazine rack.
Oh my gosh.
I would avoid going down certain roads if there were,
billboards
or maybe a place of interest that to other people that I didn't want him to see. Yeah. I would say, oh, here, can you fix this, for me or whatever, and hand him something. So I did spend a lot of time and energy. But you can't. And see, I did all that, and he still saw pornography, even after I did everything. I don't, still I tell parents, do everything you can to protect them, but it still can happen that they can see something. So
you're listening to ChristianLivingRadio.com, where you can hear such amazing ministries such as Blended Families Ministry, Unashamed by Grace, P31 Women, Pastor G, Unbreakable, Live at 5, Straight Talk, and many more to come. Also tune in to our music channel as well, 24-hour access. Be heard all over the world. Click on Get Involved or email us, info@ChristianLivingRadio.com.
I think I know that you talked about when to have the conversation.
Well,
how to start. I didn't know if you wanted to get back to.
Yeah. How we were talking about, why to have the conversation because of the pornography industry, they're targeting children. Yeah. It's not just online. I just wanted to say that too, because, about a week ago, a friend of mine from grade school had a slumber party for all her daughter and all her little friends, and they're about 10. So after the slumber party was over, my friend posted a picture on Facebook she said, well, look what I found in my daughter's sink after all the kids left. And it was a little tube of mascara, and it was called Better Than Sex. And she said, so one of the little girls was using either the parent bought it or, it was an older sister's or whoever. But because I always, when I see something at first, I always think, okay, I can't automatically assume it was the parents that did it. It could be anybody. But anyway, so somebody had left one of the little girls had left that tube. And so here now, my friend had to deal with this, and her daughter never did bring it up. She had to bring it up. So I don't know if the daughter was just afraid to, but again, the industry is not just targeting their children. They're targeting all of us. we all know that sex sells, but
and that's not even the porn industry. That's makeup,
right?
Exactly.
So it's everywhere, but just to keep in mind, that your kids can see it just going to the store.
Everywhere.
Yeah, the Ulta. You go to Ulta for pick up some shampoo, and you can see
there
it.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah, we can't even do car shows,
Oh, for sure.
They're really bad. Yeah. And
which must be hard for you because, as I look around your studio, there's pictures of cars. You were heavily in the car industry and,
that's all I do.
Yeah. So you can't enjoy something as a family. We used to go to those when I was a kid all the time.
Right.
There's always the girl in front of the car.
Yep. And, they're exploiting her, but she's making money. So you can't tell her it's wrong what you're doing. But then you can't really take your child there because then they see that and they think, oh, that's natural. Okay, that's okay to do that.
Yeah.
It's okay to have your girl posing and doing all that.
Right.
So, I had to really limit what he's exposed to or what he can go to until he gets old enough to translate that a little bit better, a little differently.
And train himself to try to avert from those things, which is, at his age probably needs to start, that kind of that conversation, which is, that's tough. I mean, we're kind of late on that. I mean, I feel we started 13 or 14, but if I look back.
Hey, this is AC Green. You're listening to Christian Living Radio.
Much more than just Christian radio. It's a lifestyle.
It probably could have happened, that conversation, much earlier.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Well, like I said, that someone that I know, her son is 5 and was 5 when she contacted me because she innocently gave him her phone to play with, and kind of we talked about that before, using the phone as a babysitter, and she didn't have filters on it. So he found stuff, and at 5 was smart enough to figure out how to get into other things. And the same thing when she, just like what happened to you, when she looked at the phone and kept backing out, there was just page upon page upon page. But then he was using the phone to take pictures of himself inappropriately. So he was basically modeling what he had seen at 5. Wow. So she came to us for help because she didn't know what to do. So I'm not saying 5 is the magic number. It all depends on the family. But like I said, it's earlier than you think.
Yeah. Well, I know my 8-year-olds, of course, they use the phone. You're in the car. You're sitting and waiting at DMV. You hand them, they play games. He knows enough because we have been talking about it with him. So he was probably 5 or 6 when the conversation started with the middle boy. He knows enough to know if he sees something, anything that he knows is borderline. Risque. I'm going to say risque. Anything. Yeah. He knows. Hey, I was over here, and he'll tell me, Mom, I was up on this thing and I saw this, whatever, or I heard this. He's smart enough to tell me. So if they're smart enough to watch it and repeat it and try to emulate it, they definitely are smart enough for you to train them how to recognize it and get away from it. So, and you know what I'm saying? So don't just think that that's just the way it is because that's the way everybody is. That is not true. Right. You can absolutely educate them how to be alerted to that. Now,
Unashamed by Grace, you're doing your ministry, of course, and we're talking about children now. So is there, I know you're dealing with the male side of things predominantly. Are you offering this training to the children as well right now?
No.
Or is that something in the future? Am I getting ahead of it?
Well, as you know, Brian and I, we're going through a certification program right now to be certified mentors. And then we'll also be getting a certification through the International Sexual Addiction Association. But both of those, do offer training in educating children and parents. But just what I've learned even so far, just in being, becoming a mentor is I just have a heart for children. I always have. I mean, I taught the 1st through 6th grade at our church for many years. I've volunteered in the high school and the junior high. And I was a Valley Big Sister for 7 years with 2 different girls. So, I mean, I've always had a heart for children. And as we get into this, we originally started Unashamed by Grace for men and then their spouses. But just like you said, you called Brian. I have, other this lady from church. We've had other people contact us with children, with their children's issues. God just put it on my heart that we just have to start educating. I can't wait to be certified, I guess is what I'm saying, in order to start educating, because my heart is too consumed with what's going on with our children and our teens that I can't wait. I need to start getting the word out right now. But I will be certified in that as well.
Great.
down the road. But for right now, my heart is to educate the parents, because why should I wait till I'm certified, right? If I can get the word out, just like with Stacey here today, everything that she shared and that you've shared, hopefully, what if that reaches one parent and they're able to help their child? Just think of the magnitude of, like Stacey was saying earlier, with their marriage and then their children and their grandchildren. I mean, the impact could be huge. So we just need to speak up and not be afraid to read things. Like you said, you don't just listen to what we have to say on the radio.
Right.
You've been taking time to read things on your own, and that's perfect. That's exactly what parents should be doing, is getting as much education as possible, because you take in all that education and then you apply to what you feel is appropriate for your family.
Cool. Well, before we wrap it up, I need to ask one more time about the book you mentioned earlier, and
oh yeah,
the ministry book.
I should have brought that. It is Every Man's Battle.
Do you know the author?
I don't, but I can get it to you. Can you post those items like on your webpage?
I sure can.
Okay, so I'll get that for you, or she can maybe search it real quick. But they have
go ahead.
They have an adult version.
Okay.
And a version for you intended, which came out after we started this. So it must be, obviously, there's a call for it.
Yes.
A teenage version of how to talk to your young men. It's called Every Man's Battle by Fred Stoker and Stephen Arterburn. I just got it, Barnes and Noble. We just went and bought one for each of the kids so they would have it as a reference.
Okay.
I believe there's also a workbook that comes with the youth one, which again wasn't out when we went through it. So
that's great. Great things, because we all need these tools. I know you guys have some great tools for Unashamed by Grace, but these are just a little extra added things for parents, and people are listening to us all over the world right now. So the more we can educate, the better it is. And I hope that we can continue to get Stacey on here and share with Joann and Brian. Brian's headed to a conference for certification.
Yeah, in about it's the beginning of October. He's going. It's called Catalyst, and it's a biggie. It's for Christian leaders and pastors, and there's going to be about 10,000 people there from all over the world, and he's going to be putting basically our name, in front of potentially 10,000 people. But, again, it's to just go along with our certification and just training and educating the public, because, we're just one voice, but one voice can change one life. And if it does, praise God.
Each one, teach one.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to be a part of your ministry, the growth, and seeing the changes come to place. I am excited for you guys and the certifications to come and what's coming down the pipeline for the future.
Yeah.
You're doing great things, and I want you to continue. And
well, thank you.
Thank God that God gave us this station to spread this word, and
absolutely
allowed me, a nobody, to be the vessel. So
God has a way
happy.
of doing that, right? Where
yes, He does.
Those that you don't expect.
Taking the broken ones.
That's right.
Letting us help,
And I was sure broken up.
I just wanted to say one more thing before, if that's okay, before we close, was that when we talked about really when to start, how to start, whatever, the importance, as you said, at any age, it's just to do it, just to start. Like if you think back at your brokenness and the things that could have been prevented, had just one person stopped and spoke life into you, and just, it's a fearful thing. The enemy wants it to be fearful to keep that shame intact. So if you're afraid to talk to your child, well, think about that and go, I don't want to be part of fear. So I'm going to take a step out in faith and just open the conversation. Your children are going to respond eventually, right? I mean, it may not be immediate because it is awkward. It's a weird conversation. Yeah. But it shouldn't be a weird conversation. The world has made it that way and made it dark. and there needs to be light shed on it. So
absolutely. Well, this is off the subject, but what Stacey just said, if one person would have just said something, and spoke life. I used to go to North Phoenix Baptist Church when I lived in Phoenix when I was in high school. And I